gushing blood.
Wait,
no.
So you have to start over.
Okay.
Of course. Hi everyone, this is Midcard Mana, Luke Cannon, Sam Keola, the wrestling connoisseur. Sam Keola is talking about the first time he bladed intentionally, unintentionally.
I wouldn't say it's the first time.
Unintentionally bladed.
Yeah, I still wouldn't say it's the first time. But all right, so I'm taking a shower and I'm shaving my head because you probably see it.
Yeah,
already.
You can totally see it.
It was worse. It looked much, much worse. So I was shaving. My head's not even like totally. It's like off. So I was shaving because I'm like, it's getting long, and it's like, if I don't shave it now, I have to take like the things to it. And my daughter is brushing her teeth, and she's just like blah 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 blah. And so I'm like, I'm just going to shave real quick. I'm in the shower, and I'm shaving. I'm using my wife's razor because let's be honest, the women's razors are better for shaving. They really are. I don't know why women want to use men's because I don't know. That's my experience at least. And so I'm using her razor shaving, and it's been used. It's not new at all. But usually it's like, whatever, and I zip through it.
You guys are married. It's fine.
Yeah, and so I'm shaving, and I hit over here. It's like, I'm like, ow! I just felt like a little prick, and I think, I hit like a bump or something, and probably like nicked it. And suddenly I'm having a triple threat match with the Great Muda and Abdullah the Butcher, and there's just gushing blood. It's everywhere. And I'm like, at first I touch, see, like, ow.
How much of his head is gone?
Am I bleeding? That was my first thought. Am I bleeding? Because it just felt like a little tack. Mm-hmm. And I was like, cut myself. No. And of course, the shower's going, so it's washing blood away. And then I'm like, no. And then, like, I come down the side of my head by my ear.
Where the water hasn't hit.
And it is just blood. like Wolverine has attacked me. Like,
And someone hit you with the steel chair.
Oh, dude, I thought I was Sid Vicious versus Goldberg. Like, I was.
You thought you were Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam.
I looked like any match in the 90s with Ric Flair on a pay-per-view. It was just, I was just like, holy what? And then I was like, wait a minute. And then I kind of like step out of the shower a little further away because when you're my height, you can actually.
You look like Mick Foley in most of his matches.
Yeah. I was like, I double checked to see if my ear was still there. And it was just, it was blood everywhere. I was like, okay. So I was like, well, let me shave real quick right there since I've already gushed myself open. So still, I thought it was just a little nick, right? It wasn't till like the skin got washed off my head onto my hand. Like, what the hell is this?
You're just like,
and it was like, this much skin. If you look at your knuckle to the end of your fingertip, about like that much skin. Which you may not think looks like much, but just turn your hand over. And I was like, if this is... Looks like I took off like 3 layers of skin.
Like a chunk, yeah.
It was, And I was like, this is not going to be good.
See, that's why I don't like women's razors, is because it'll do that. I sneezed once while I was shaving my legs, and it gashed my,
I've never had that problem before.
Open.
I've never had that problem before. So
Sneezing while shaving your legs.
That or this bad. I've cut myself with a razor before, but not like this. Not like scalped. I've never scalped myself with a razor before. So
you have hair grows back there ever again.
It doesn't matter. Hair doesn't grow in all the spots anyway. So that's why I shave. So I ended up like, Allison, hand me some toilet paper. And like I just stuck this big wad of toilet paper on the side of my head so I could finish showering, and I get out, dry off, and I'm like, let's take a look at it. And it just, I'm like, oh shit. So I'm just trying to like get the blood back enough to put a Bandaid on it.
Inside.
And luckily I had like this huge Bandaid. You know those giant Band-Aids you use for nothing?
Except for knees.
And
heads now.
But most of the time they're just like 7 years old by the time you need it. But we actually had one because I have a young child. So I like slapped that on and it contained it. I just kept waiting for like it just to turn
For the
red.
jam to burst.
And it just it never did. So great Bandaid. The next morning I got up and looked at it. I took it off and I was like, oh my God. I thought stuff would be growing out of it. There was so much blood. And it still wasn't like
fully
too
healed.
good. Yeah. So, but today finally, it looks a lot better today than it did yesterday. It was really bad yesterday.
I like how this story took 5 whole minutes. Anyway, on that note, this is of course Mid-Card Mana. We're talking about
my chair shot.
this week in
Heard
WWE.
around the bathroom.
Wow. Heard all around Waikeuka. Anyway.
Oh no, you revealed our location.
Good, that way they can find us and book us.
Yep. Pay us, pin us. Not pin us.
He'll write, I'll take pins, it's fine.
I can book you into Stardom.
Anyway, we're talking, of course, about this weekend, couple weeks in review for WWE. Going to go over some of the
It's
big
not going to be
events.
as exciting than this first 5 minutes.
No, that was probably the most thrilling thing that's happened so far. In WWE.
Yeah. Where should we start? Okay, Raw.
Okay. Oh, last week Roman Reigns getting suspended after getting all up in Vincent Killer McMahon's face.
So I don't know. I heard a lot of people like really was just disgusted with it because while some people say it was Roman Reigns' best promo ever, I don't think it was.
I also don't think it was.
It might be up there, sadly.
Yeah, it was better than a lot of the other ones that he has done in the past. I would not say it's the best.
It just was, I want to say Chris Benoit delivered better promos, but
wow.
And we all know Benoit was not good on the mic, but he had an it factor.
Sid cut some pretty good promos, just unintentionally.
Really, it's just Sid knew his character. Sid was a character, so, and he was that character, whereas Roman Reigns is not his character.
Yeah,
and it
shows.
Come over and say it. Come over and say it. I know you're dying to say it. Just bring him over and come over and say it.
Okay.
I know you want to. What you got?
Go, baby.
You gotta show him the. Go.
Adam, go, baby.
Okay, get out of here. She likes Adam Cole.
I love Allison, the future world champ, but no. Anyway. No.
He's also a big Seth Rollins.
Oh my God, I will end you.
I have another matchy one. Anyway, yeah, the Roman Reigns promo, and Reigns, when he is spoon-fed what to say, like, okay, Roman, here's your script. He's back there going, Brock Lesnar, bitch. He's a bitch. And he goes out, and that's what happens.
I imagined exactly that.
And he goes out, and he's thinking in his head, I am the Rock. I am the Rock. I am the Rock.
No, honey.
Brah.
No, honey.
You need to fight for yourself because
you're Roman Reigns.
You've been
You're
pushed
the big
to
dog.
the moon.
You know, it's fine that you're Roman Reigns, the big dog.
I have nothing against Roman Reigns.
You just have to find a way to
find your voice.
To own it. to really own it in your heart.
The problem is he's a yes man. Is what it's come down to. He's a yes man because he has family to feed. He wants to ride this out as much as he can. It's a family business for him. So he has
there's nothing wrong with that.
No, he has a huge amount of weight on his shoulders for this. So I mean, I get it, but at the same time, you have to. Whereas the Shield fought together as a unit for things, you had two very veterans.
Yes.
Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins were veterans.
AKA John Moxley and Tyler Black.
Yeah. And then you had Roman Reigns, who'd never been in a ring before.
I think because his name in FCW was Leaki.
Leaki, yeah. Or Leati.
No, I think it was Keith.
Was it Leaki? Okay. And
His real name is Leati.
there you go. He Hawaiianized it. The T to the K. So, yeah, I mean, he'd never been in the ring before. He never, even though he is of the Samoan dynasty, he'd never been to was it WXW? He never trained really with Wild Samoans or anything.
Yeah, which I
He
thought
was a football player.
which I thought was strange because
Yeah, this was not his ideal
I mean
plan for
the
life.
Wild Samoans direct relations to him.
And you know, I mean, he's not an Umaga, he's not a Rosie, he's not any of these guys that have been through the Indies and trained. So I mean, with that aspect of looking at it, where Roman Reigns is today, talent wise, is
It makes sense.
great. You know, I mean, he has improved so much.
Yeah.
From that first singles run, where he was green as hell. And today I'm like, okay, you know, he's really improved. His mic skills have not improved that much. And I believe,
Well, I think
they have improved, but I believe it's his character because it's not him. You know, and where Rollins and Ambrose would go fight for things, and they would fight for the Shield as a unit, they go fight for themselves and whatnot.
Yeah.
And like Rollins fighting to use the pedigree, he just went over Triple H's head. I mean, Roman Reigns would never do that. And that's why we get these shitty ass promos, because he just says, okay, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do that. We're
Well, I
gonna
think
put you
there's also-
over. Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
There's also the flip side of the different just upbringing. So Rollins, I'm
Totally.
sorry, like honestly, Rollins in every single shoot I've ever heard or watched or read about comes across as a, you know, and I'm gonna quote Brad Maddox here, a cocky prick. Just in life, that's how he is, and
But that's the business.
There's nothing wrong, honestly, with knowing you're good and being confident that you're good, because nobody's gonna believe in yourself nobody's gonna believe in you besides you.
Right.
Sometimes, so you
It's
gotta
true.
know how
It's
to
very
sell
true.
yourself, but it just comes across as really sort of elitist, and it lacks a lot of the humility that I think is part of the reason why I don't like him, because every time he just talks about how great he is.
Well, you are yourself turned up to the nth degree when you get over. I mean, essentially, you look at Austin, you look at Rock, you
Yeah.
look at Triple H. That's exactly what they are. Shawn Michaels. You take anybody that's been a champion and has been really over, and it's themselves turned up to the nth degree. Even
Foley.
you look at Daniel Bryan,
Definitely.
Foley,
Oh, Daniel Bryan,
The Undertaker,
100%.
all these guys.
100%.
So I mean, you look at Rollins. It's exactly Rollins.
Oh,
Ambrose, even. You know, I think that's Ambrose. When you get to
I feel like
Reigns,
Ambrose
it's not-
weirdly is
not
himself
turns to
turn-
the nth degree.
turns to an nth degree, but also just sort of certain elements completely taken away.
Well, WWE is good about that too. So I mean, like with Roman, I feel like he needs to fight for himself,
Yeah.
instead of what the company's giving him.
Because he himself, when I hear people talk about how he behaves in the locker room and working with him,
I think he can still be a
People-
top guy.
people have nothing but good things to say, because they're just like, you know, he's probably one of the most selfless people I've ever worked with. To him, it's about making the match look good, not about making him look good.
Unfortunately, that's not what the WWE
Management wants.
Right. And so, I mean, I feel at some point he has to stand up to management and be like, hey, I'm not getting over. No matter how much you guys push me,
No matter how much you think
They
this is
hate
helping
me.
me,
This
this
is-
is not helping me.
you're actually, we're shooting myself in the foot. We are shooting myself in the foot.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, if they suddenly go, well, you know what? You're not getting over, Roman.
Bye.
Yeah. And
Then Reigns is the one that has to take the buck.
And I mean, whereas they're almost like trying to make, and he made a comment about this in a promo, so that shoot promo things they wrote for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be the next John Cena. or that's how fans see him as the next John Cena. That's what they did, because with John Cena, he got cheers and boos, and WWE just continuously pushed him. The only difference is John Cena actually got some cheers, where Roman's not really.
I mean,
getting that
Roman.
much
So
cheers.
so Reigns
Certain markets, but
will get cheers like from
my sister,
and little kids.
yeah. So, you know, it's when you get booed out of more pay-per-views than you get cheered.
I'm
it's
sure
a
the
problem.
Or when you get booed out of more pay-per-views than cheered, and you're not a heel.
It's a huge problem. So, yeah, Reigns comes out, delivers a really shitty promo 2 weeks in a row. They do the whole backstage shoot thing, which was awful. It was there. This is what I talk about. They're in a wrestling bubble, as far as like Vince and everybody running the show, and they're eating their 6-course meal, talking to the writers.
While we're starting,
That's great.
you know, unrelated or sort of related. You know who I found out writes for specifically Raw?
Who's that?
March and Archie from Chicano. Archibald
Oh,
Peck.
really?
Yes. Oh my God, I just found that out recently because I was looking up something about Chuck Taylor. And I was like, my favorite match with Chuck Taylor is Chuck Taylor versus March and Archie. And I looked it up and I'm like, March and Archie
that would explain
writes
some things.
for Monday Night Raw.
That would explain some things. I mean, there's some corny things that happen. I haven't seen like a giant hand. Why don't you bring in Kikutaro then? Anyway. Yeah, so, I mean, the segment where Roman, I'm gonna go talk to him backstage. He goes out, and I'm gonna take this in the ass like a man, or something like that. I can't remember what the promo was. You know what I'm talking about? And Angle's just, alright. And it's like, it was just so bad. It was really bad. And you're starting the show like this as well. This would be great for when she gets older. I'm like, look. Yeah, so he goes backstage, and what's the big, oh my God, they just broke the fourth wall. Shane's on Raw. I was just like, you gotta be fucking shitting me.
I also love.
This is your.
I honestly really loved that because then it gave Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn more ammo. And I'm all about giving Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn more ammo.
Kevin's kind of like me. Does he need more ammo? It's like he has a nuclear bomb in his backyard.
Just waiting.
I don't, by the way, fans, if you're listening. I really don't have much of a backyard if you want to see. I think that's the fallout.
That's why it's glowing.
But it's like he had a nuclear bomb in his backyard, and you give him one clip for a machine gun. I mean, Kevin Owens has all the ammo he needs to say anything he wants.
But I mean, he'll use it anyway.
But
Just
what would have
for
been
fun.
better is if and I don't think it was, Shane was already taken out and they did that. I'm trying to remember my timeline of events. Anyway,
No, Shane wasn't.
that would have been the best to have shown that.
And then
This is real because SmackDown's fake. It was just, I was like, really? You gotta have Shane back there. It's not enough that you have Vince in the gorilla position and Shane, you know. It just, I don't know. It just struck me as when you're trying to just suspend belief and then you want to pull this shoot style thing, it needs to be pretty well done.
yeah, and you also need to make sure that if this is what you're gonna do with this, you pick one side and go all the way with it. Either all the way kayfabe or all the way shoot. Because if you try and straddle it and it's done sloppy like how it kind of was, it's not gonna help at all.
It's not going to help at all. You want to talk about shoots that worked, that are still debated today whether it was a shoot or not. Maybe it wasn't. Who knows? Because it worked.
All of Brian Pillman's stuff?
Pillman, when Bret Hart left.
Yes.
Okay, that part that was
Brett
aired.
screwed Brett.
Even to a point, the Jeff Jarrett, Hogan, Russo
that whole thing
in WCW, the Shane Douglas ECW aspect, which some people question if that was a shoot or not, because I mean he totally shut on the NWA. So I mean these were shoots that worked, that are questioned. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they was real, but
And then works that were worked so well that they looked like shoots.
Right.
For example, and I think one that I really liked recently, not even in a wrestling ring, was the whole Booker T. Corey Graves thing, where they went on record and they're like, yeah, that was just a work. We
Yeah.
worked all of you. And I thought that it was very well done
Yeah.
from both sides for
Because, I mean,
the entire build.
and
And it
we-
was, well, I mean, that's the other thing, too. And
We've
okay,
talked about it before it even became a thing. Booker and Corey Booker would take some serious jabs at Corey. And I know they're friends backstage and everything.
Yeah.
But there was one time where Booker, there was something that happened, and Booker was like, you wouldn't understand, Corey, because, yeah, you wrestled.
But you never wrestled at
wrestled
this level.
At this level. And Corey just shut up. And it was like, it was a jab, but it was like, had a little snap to it.
oh, yeah. I mean,
So I mean, this whole feud thing, I think it's funny that it took, it really took off and had
Yeah, it
legs
did.
underneath of it, that people were questioning it, that they actually had to address it.
Mm-hmm.
But this was just like, if you're going to do it, you got to go all the way.
yeah. And I mean,
You got to
okay.
make it look real.
Theater,
Okay, here's one.
theater major.
I got
okay?
one.
You have to
Lesnar Orton.
believe it 100%. Yeah, Lesnar Orton. That is actually a
last
beautiful
minute-
in ring example.
And we're shoot that. We're going to really make Brock Lesnar look real.
Yeah.
He's going to not just dominate Orton. He dominated Cena that time. He's not just going to dominate.
bust
Orton.
him open.
He's going to bust him open to the point where Jericho was pissed off backstage.
Yeah.
And then when Lesnar come through, he was like, whether it was a work or not, you're not checking on Orton. You're not seeing if Orton's okay after you've blooded him up like this.
Mm-hmm.
Jericho was pissed off and confronted Brock
Yeah,
to where they were going to strap.
They're gonna fight.
And I don't know, Jericho, he's a smaller dude, but I've heard stories like he can
go.
scrap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
So-
the past.
The fact that
His
that
latest
5'9"
run-
Jericho didn't back down from former UFC champion Brock
His
Lesnar
latest
is-
run has given me, I know I've said it a bunch of times, but Jericho's latest run in WWE has gotten me to respect him a whole
totally.
lot more. Not only as a performer in ring, but just as a person, as a performer who can see the bigger picture, and he knows how
Yes.
to work with people in a way where they'll both get the most out of their time together.
So I mean, yeah, I know that whole segment, the whole thing they're trying to do isn't working for me because I know what they're trying to do, and it's for one, if it was working and I know what they're trying to do, I'd be okay with it. But the fact that I can see it and I'm like, okay, well, you're trying to work me.
Yeah.
And let's just be specific here. When a writer in WWE gets hired and he says, "Oh, I was a huge fan of your work as Johnny Ace," and Stephanie McMahon overhears it, it's like, "What a mark!" And really scoffs at the writer and is like shitting on this guy they just hired, which actually happened.
Yeah.
You're calling someone a mark that's a writer, and then we're going to full circle, and you're not. I mean, where it becomes a mark is from a circus, because wrestling used to be in the circus, and the mark is the guy you mark. You're like, I'm gonna sell shit to this
Yeah.
guy. This guy's gonna fall for the 3 stacked bowling pins that they can't knock over. He's a mark.
Yeah.
Got him. All right, you're calling this guy a mark, and yet you can't sell shit to the audience because it looks so fake. They're no longer marks because you're a mark for your own product at that
Yeah.
point. Because if you can't put on with that much money that they're making and actually selling the story of disbelief
Yeah.
to a viewer, then
Then what are
you
you
don't have
even
marks
doing
anymore.
also?
You don't have marks anymore if you're doing that. And that's a huge problem. So,
It is a huge problem in the WWE, honestly.
got that out of my system.
Did you?
Not
For now.
entirely,
For
but
now.
So that was the opening the past 2 weeks. Roman gets suspended. Brock isn't suspended because they're trying to blur the lines of reality, but they're doing a really poor job of it. What else happened on Raw?
So there's also been the fallout of the whole situation with Asuka challenging Charlotte Flair instead of Alexa Bliss.
And
I think they also made the
Asuka's been
WrestleMania
pulling
match.
double duty.
I think they also made the WrestleMania match for Alexa Bliss finalized.
It looks
Alexa
like
Bliss
it.
versus Nia Jax.
And talk about last minute turnaround of events. You know, suddenly out of the blue, Mickie James has a change of heart. I don't know why. It's not explained. She's just bad Mickey again and aligned with Alexa Bliss. And of course this happens because they want to turn Nia face.
Yeah.
Because
So they need someone else to ally with Alexa Bliss because Alexa Bliss is the chicken shit heel.
Yeah. And luckily this storyline's been going on for like at least a year now, maybe 2 years now. They've never pulled the trigger on it. They always backtrack it.
Oh, with Nia?
It. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that they're finally doing this storyline. It needed to be done like 2 years ago, really. Or a year ago. I don't even know how long it's been. It's felt like 2 years if it hasn't been.
Or even 6 months ago. You know, just sometime
They keep re-upping it, yeah. And then, so, for them to do this, for some reason, they feel like someone has to be in Alexa's corner.
Well, see,
I'm not against it.
It's also strange because by pulling back on it so many times, you're making.
They actually did themselves a favor here.
See, I disagree.
Because it's like they had this in the hole. Because they would have nothing to go to now.
Okay, fair enough. So timing wise, I mean, I guess they needed this at this time, but by having Nia Jax go back and forth so much, I felt like it really hurts her character because then her whole thing is, you know, she's strong and she's powerful and she believes in her when other people don't believe in her. She goes through, and I mean, because they spend so much time with Total Divas and stuff too, they talk about her struggles with people body shaming her and all that kind of stuff, and to have her keep returning to a person that has proven to be an untrue friend or a toxic relationship for her, just it makes her seem
It re-emphasizes
weak, honestly,
the whole problem
that
she has personally. You know, I mean, that they talk about on Total Divas, like, and I mean, they've done this to Mickey too.
I like Nia Jax.
You know what I mean? The whole body shaming thing. They've played that storyline to death with Mickey
which
James.
makes me so angry. Every time a body shaming thing comes up, it just really pisses me off. One, because I mean, I'm 5'2" and 200 pounds. Okay, I am what they're making fun of, but not really. And I don't feel bad for me, but I mean, just the fact that they're then saying that, you know, these, you know, 5'7" on a heavy day 150-pound chick is
Right.
huge, and it's one, weird and mean, and two, I mean, who are you doing this for?
Especially when you have a company that is anti-bully and is, you know, does all these like outreach sort of things, but then the company kind of comes across, you know, especially the storylines that they do, the opposite. And I mean, you can do these storylines, and I'm all for them doing these storylines. As a writer, you want to address issues, especially social issues, and you get a lot of leadway to do that because you're not a reality show, really. You're telling stories. So you could, like the Shinsuke and Jinder Mahal.
Oh, the heavy-handed racism.
Yeah. It was like, yeah, let's do this story. But
still to this day, props to Jinder Mahal for taking a ball and running with it.
Yeah.
Like
Jinder
that would
totally
have been dead weight for so many other people. But Jinder Mahal and the Bollywood boys, the Singh brothers, found ways to make it work. Mm-hmm. And that to me is
it wasn't given enough
mind-blowing.
time. It wasn't given enough time, and it
was treated as an afterthought.
It was, and it didn't get.
This is like a Monotl video at this point.
It is. But yeah, I thought, okay, well, if you're going to do this, you need to go all in.
Yeah.
But
I'm all in. Are you all? I'm not all in, actually.
I am all in. So yeah, I don't know, but they did pull this out with Nia. They finally started showing Nia to be dominant like they should have been for this whole time.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect as well. You have her dominant for 1 month in hopes of a WrestleMania build where you have pretty much destroyed the character that you wanted to build the whole time. Like, oh, she's a monster, she's this and she's that, but she never wins.
Well, not only that, but you also, okay, as a monster, okay, I'm sorry.
You gotta, they have to win.
The monster builds also that you're trying to build just in general, personality-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Personality-wise is very different from the Nia Jax personality that has been portrayed over the last couple weeks to a month, where she's shown a lot more of her being vulnerable and, you know, being concerned about her performance in the ring, as well as her allies around, you know, outside of the ring and all that kind of stuff. And it's, and I like it, but I don't think that it's accomplishing what they want to accomplish.
And it hasn't been consistent either.
Yeah.
If you look at Mixed Match Challenge, she's obviously heel. She's blowing off Titus Worldwide. She's like,
and then they had that weird segment where it looked like Titus, or not Titus, it looked like Apollo turned heel also.
Yeah.
And then they did not revisit that at all.
Yeah, it irritates me when they do these things because you're a global company being seen
we're still
on a
watching.
huge
You're telling us to watch it, and we're watching it,
but it's
and then
not consistent with
your
main showing. It's just, I mean, this would be like, the only thing I can compare it to is when they used to send talent down to other companies. And so, like, you see the main product nationally, where Bret Hart is a face, but then he goes to Louisville, Kentucky to fight Jerry Lawler, and he's a heel. And it's like, not as believable because, you know, the main screen, he's a good guy.
But he's got to be the bad guy.
He's got to be the bad guy.
To their
and it
good guy.
worked in the, you know, in the old days, in the territory days, when you didn't see
everything all the time.
Yeah, but you know, it's changed, and I feel like WWE just has dropped the ball with that. You know, at one point in time, they were.
Well, they're trying too hard to target too many people.
Oh yeah.
So
here's an idea: just target hardcore fans. You're the only ones buying your shit anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look at us, wrestling shirts.
You know what I mean? Casual fans
talking about wrestling.
Casual fans don't. You know, I know that there's.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Casual fans, like, it's always been like, I find it almost a myth, the casual fans, because it's like hardcore versus casual. I mean, hardcore, obviously they're going to seek out wrestling. Casual fans, it's, you know, if they flip the channel, they land on it. But here's the thing, it's a wrestling fan, period. There's wrestling fans. You're either a wrestling fan that continuously watches until you're just turned off so much that you no longer follow it, you find other products. Or you're a wrestling fan that doesn't have time for it, which would be the casual fan, in my opinion. And that person, oh yeah, I love WWE, or I love wrestling, and oh, it's in town. Where's my hardcore wrestling fan that keeps me up to date on everything? Let me see if they want to go.
Yeah.
That's when the casual fans go to the shows and buys products.
Whereas the hardcore fans check websites like I do. It's like, oh, so WWE's going to Japan at the end of June. They usually stop off in Hawaii first. Are there any show announcements for Blaisdell this year? Like, I've been checking.
And then they'll check to see when the tickets go on sale. And that's when your tickets sell out. Whereas the casual fan who doesn't keep up with the product, who doesn't check the websites, who doesn't go on YouTube to watch things or check the dirt sheets or whatever, they'll hear it on the radio, buy a ticket the week before if they're not sold out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's just wrestling fans and just different levels of it. But to market only toward a fan base that you don't have, essentially, is kind of stupid. You know what I mean? I mean, you don't write for
it's a weird
someone
risk.
who's not going to pick your book up unless there's nothing else on the show.
It's a weird risk too, because
huge risk.
trying to hook someone that you haven't hooked versus trying to keep someone on the line that you already have. I mean, I I like at the beginning of my latest foray into wrestling, I would have considered myself a casual fan. If it was on at my house, I would just leave it on, whatever. I wouldn't really pay too much attention to it because I was like, oh, it's wrestling, whatever. And a lot of my favorites from when I was little had either passed away or were retired.
Right.
So it wasn't as engaging to me.
But when you got hooked,
But part of the reason why I got hooked was because my grandpa loved wrestling so much. And so he would get into it. So that's the thing.
That's
you
the
need
hardcore.
you need the hardcore fan with the casual fan to really help foster that love. So now it started with my grandpa, it spread to me, and now it's at the point where my auntie, who I've written about over on Cage Side Seats, my dad, my mom,
because there's more
my
people
little
in
cousin,
the house that are into it. So it's on more, and everybody sees it more, it's talked about more. So, I mean, it's just a wrestling fan. Either you have them hooked, it's a hooked fan, or an unhooked fan. And
the unhooked fan isn't going to really commit a whole lot of time or effort or money into it.
So the unhooked fan doesn't care about your storylines. But to get them to care about your storylines, you have to actually have a good storyline. Because if I'm watching a show and I'm like, ooh, I love fantasy movies. Let me sit down and watch this film. Oh, there's a dragon? It's great, I love dragons. Let me watch this movie. And I put it on and I'm watching for 5 minutes and it is pure shit. I'm going to change the channel
or
and
if
put on Lord of the Rings
if
or
you
something.
put it on and it starts off good and then for completely
the bad guy becomes a good guy for apparently no reason
if it just
at all.
if it just totally flips all of a sudden to in a way that you can't follow or doesn't make sense, then people are going to get turned off by it.
Yeah. And if you have something you're trying to sell and you're doing a really shitty job of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I have faith in this, even though the way they've gone about it has been really shitty with the Nia Alexa feud.
Well, I have faith in the talent behind it. Is what it is.
Move forward well if they stick with it. I have total faith in the talent behind it. I just, if the writers and Vince stick to the story at hand, it, hopefully
it'll develop into something.
Besides that, we haven't known because let's talk about the elephant in the room, shall we?
Which one? There's so many.
The steroid scandal.
So
just
yeah, it's
briefly.
It's something that's been just lightly
looming
hanging above the heads of the WWE because they had, or the man in question had said that he had found, or that he had evidence to implicate both Roman Reigns as well as
several others.
John Cena, notably. Now, this is an interesting thing
Roman
they could
Reigns'
do.
older brother, Luther Reigns.
Oh my god. Stop it.
It's unstated, but
Stop it.
Just throw that out there.
Stop it. Anyway.
Kurt's like, I'll tell Luther.
Anyway. An interesting thing about John Cena's though is if they find allegations are